This is the iFitModel Basics of Nutrition Intro Podcast, and I am your host, Aaron Zambrano. And a lot of people wonder, who is Aaron Zambrano? And I have an interesting story, but I'll keep it to a minimum because I tend to talk a lot. But, I'm just a normal everyday person that just started off working out, and that's all I wanted to do. And I had my weight struggles and my fat struggles, and I have a huge history of obesity and heart disease and diabetes in my family, and that kind of triggered me to get into the fitness world a little more intensely and just change my body. And over time, I got more and more into it, and I started working with some of the top bikini models and fitness models in the world. Became a certified nutritionist, certified personal trainer, and here I am today. And I've been doing this for about 15 years, and it's just been a huge success for me. And it's just one of my passions, and I just absolutely love doing it. Now, recently, a lot of people have gotten to know me from a company I started about 3 years ago. It's a company called Elite Physiques, where we train some of the top bikini models and fitness models in the world. And we were able to see huge success making Miss Bikini America 2 times, Miss Model America 2 times, a Miss Model Universe, and the list goes on and on and on and on. We train some of the top bikini competitors everywhere and top male fitness models everywhere. So it's just been a huge success. And in 3 years, we had close to 40 first place trophies. And in the fitness world, that's just amazing. Now, one of the things that made that company so successful and those models so successful was our ability to make it a lifestyle. And that's basically what this is about. Fitness to me is not about how ripped your abs are. It's not about, how lean you look or how great you look in a bikini. Of course, we want all those things, and those are the things that are extremely important to us on the surface level. But what's really important to us is how we feel, and are we able to maintain that over a long period of time? And I think, fitness can be made so easy if we're just educated and we know what we need to do. I say all the time, there's 2 parts to any kind of nutrition or exercise plan, and that's the education and that's the implementation. Now, right now, what I want to do is I want to go through all the education and try to help you understand just the basics of nutrition in this particular podcast. Now, this is going to be a 3-part series. We're going to break it up into 3 sections. We're going to talk about carbs today. The next podcast, we'll talk about fats and proteins. And then the final one, I'm going to show you how to put it all together so you can make it work for yourself. And so sometimes that's all we need is just the educational part. So what I want you to do right now is you can just find me right now on iFitModel.com, and you can go and read about the certain programs that I'm running right now. Running a great 6-week transformation program. It's an absolutely amazing thing. So just go to iFitModel.com and go check it out. So enough about me. Now let's talk about why we're really here, and let's talk about the basics of nutrition. And again, everything starts off with knowing. They say knowing is half the battle, and that couldn't be more true. So what I first want to talk about is carbs. Now, it's funny. I get people come into my office and speak to me on the phone on a regular basis, and they're like, Aaron, I can't eat carbs. Carbs make me fat. You see all these low carb diets that are around. These don't do carbs because it's going to do this to your body. It's going to create this. And yeah, are there some negative effects to carbohydrates? Absolutely. There is no doubt that there are some negative effects to carbohydrates, but are there some positive effects? Well, that's also an absolutely type of statement. And so, what we need to do is we need to understand that not all carbs are created equal. Are there carbs that are bad for you? Yes, there is no doubt about that. But there's carbs that can do a lot for you and just help you function on a much higher level. So keep in mind, we're not trying to create a diet that's something you can follow for the next 6 weeks or even 12 weeks. This is something that you can follow for the rest of your life. And so I was blessed enough to be around one of the biggest fitness gurus that the world had ever seen, Mr. Larry North. And he has this great saying that says, if you can't follow a diet for the rest of your life, then it's not worth trying for one day. And I follow that same motto. And what you want to do is make sure that this is something that you can do forever, and not something that it's going to be so hard and challenging to do. And yeah, okay, you can see rapid fat loss and rapid weight loss with certain fad diets, but is it really going to keep it off? And so what I want to go through with you today is actually how to keep it off and how to maintain that over a long period of time. But before we can do that, you have to understand what all these nutrients do to your body and how they're actually going to affect you in a positive and a negative way. So our first topic is carbs. So carbs, what is a carb? You know, if you go right now and you Google function of a carb, do it with me. Go to Google and Google function of a carb. You're going to bring up about 1,000 different functions of a carbohydrate. Now, for the normal everyday person, that's a very challenging thing to look at. You look at it and you become so overwhelmed with all the information that's out there. You know, so if you just go to that website with a function of a carb, you'll see all those different things that a carbohydrate will do. But if you also look, and most people aren't going to do something so nerdy like that and Google function of a carb, but what they will do is they'll look at the magazines that are right there by the counter right before they check out at the grocery store. They'll look at the magazines, you know, that are at the convenience store, you know, hot body, you know, get abs in 6 weeks, lose 30 pounds in 30 days. Those are my favorite ones, you know, or those 2:00 in the morning infomercials that air all the time, you know, of quick weight loss and things like that. So that's what we'll do. And we'll look at those things and we'll keep ourselves extremely uneducated, and we'll keep ourselves confused about what the truths are about certain foods. So carbs, well, let's make it really simple. I'm going to make it so simple for you. You're going to be like, well, duh. But that's all you need. Sometimes we overcomplicate things. Sometimes we tend to sit there and say, well, what if I do this, if I do that, if I do this? No, just keep it simple. And that's the great thing about the way that I explain nutrition and philosophies and just the iFitModel philosophy of nutrition. It's really, really simple. So the way I want you to look at carbs, here it goes. You ready? Get your pen and paper because this is complicated. There's two ways to look at carbs. Carbs basically have two functions, and I want to change the way that you think about it. So function number one, carbs give you energy. Is that profound? No, it's not profound. It's so simple. It's common sense. But carbs are the driving force of your energy. And so it's your body's first source of energy when your body wants to create energy to do anything, whether it's exercise or just get up out of your chair and go to the sink and wash your hands. You know, it's your body's first source of energy. It can break it down extremely easy. And I won't get too nerdy with the molecular structures and things like that, but it's pretty easy to break down. Your body can create a lot of energy from it. So carbs will give you energy. Number one. Number two, the second function of a carb, and this is the last function of a carb. Second function of a carb is it replenishes energy. It replenishes energy that you've lost through exercise. And that's it. So people can sit there and say, well, why is that so simple? Well, just look at it like this. Carbs, again, they will give you energy or replenish energy that you've lost through exercise. If you can look at it in those two basic ways and get those 998 other functions of carbs and just throw them out the window and just use these two basic philosophies, carbs will give you energy or replenish energy that you lose through exercise. And so if you can look at it like that, you're going to be in a much better position to eat better and to really see results by eating carbs, that carbs aren't going to make you fat. So I like to tell people that carbs are a lot like gasoline in your car. Okay. You obviously have the good carbs, the good gasoline, the unleaded that you can put in your car, and then you have the unleaded, the unleaded gasoline is the good stuff that you can put in your car, and then you have the diesel gasoline, which if you put in your car, it's not really going to be able to use it, and it'll break down a little bit. And so that's really the difference between a good carb and a bad carb. Good carbs are like your unleaded gasoline. Your good carbs are like unleaded gasoline, and your bad carbs are like diesel gasoline. And so if you can look at it in that manner, it's going to help you understand it a little more. So what are good carbs? And that's the thing a lot of people question. Our carbs aren't bad, So what are good carbs? Well, I'll make it really simple for you again. carbs, the good carbs, are those that come from natural sources, the natural carbs. Now, don't get it confused with organic. That's a whole nother topic, a whole nother podcast, a whole nother series. But let's just talk about what natural foods mean. Natural foods means that anything that grows from the earth. So think about a carb that grows from the earth. Potatoes grow from the earth. You've got rice; it grows from the earth. You have oatmeal that grows from the earth. You have fruits like bananas and apples and things like that. Those grow from the earth. So these are all natural occurring foods that grow from the earth. And that's what a good carb is. That's an easy way to look at it. Now, when you start getting into more man-made products, like your breads, your pastas, and things like in your cereals and things like that, now you have to use better judgment. And so I usually tell people at the very beginning, when you're following a good eating program with good carbs, stick to the carbs that are more natural. Stick to the carbs that grow from the earth. And so that's the easiest way to do it. Good carbs are those that grow from the earth. So you can eat whatever good carbs that you want and go and do it and not feel guilty about it. Now, people can say, well, not all good carbs are created equal, and that is true. But generally speaking, any carb that gives you energy is a good carb. Any carb that replenishes energy that you've lost through exercise is a good carb. And so that's the way that you've got to look at it. Don't confuse yourself with all these different rules of, I can't eat carbs at night. I can't eat white rice because it has this, or it has that, or I can't eat white potatoes. And that's could be true in some cases, but it's not true in a lot of cases. So I like to look at carbs. Let's just say there's 500 different types of carbs in this world. Okay, so you have 500 different types of carbs, and you say, okay, look, all of a sudden I want to get all the healthy carbs. So let's review what the healthy carbs are. Healthy carbs are those things that grow natural from the earth. Okay, so now I want to get those 500 foods, and I'm going to get what the healthy carbs are, and it's going to bring me to about 200 different types of carbs that I can eat. If I start to nitpick and say, I can't eat bananas because they're high in sugar, or, I can't eat certain types of fruits because, they're high in sugar or whatnot, then we start to really knock down the number of carbs that we can actually eat and the number of choices that we can eat on a daily basis. So now we're left with 10 different carbs. Now, have you ever gotten to the point where you're like, my diet is so boring. This is not fun. Healthy eating is boring. Well, healthy eating can be boring if you're only eating 10 things and that's it. Yeah, of course, you're going to get tired of it. I get tired of eating the same 10 things all the time, so I have to constantly rotate it. So, I don't want you to start putting all these rules and restrictions on eating carbs and rules and restrictions on eating all the other types of foods. What you really want to do is just make sure that you're eating the carbs that give you energy or replenish energy to your body. What types of carbs are going to give you energy and replenish energy to your body? Those are going to be the natural carbs that grow from the earth. Again, white rice and brown rice, white potatoes, sweet potatoes. There's going to be all kinds of controversy. I know there's going to be people out there like, oh no, that's the wrong thing to say. You're supposed to eat brown rice over white rice. There's not a question. Is brown rice a better source of carbohydrates for you in comparison to white rice? And yes, there is, and there can be an argument for that. But if you go back to our definition of a carbohydrate, does it give you energy, or does it provide, or does it replenish energy that you've lost through exercise? The answer is yes, absolutely. White rice will still give you that, so will brown rice. But what's the biggest difference? The biggest difference is the vitamins, the minerals, the bran, the fiber that comes along with the brown rice that the white rice doesn't offer. But at the basis of picking a carbohydrate, does white rice provide the same amount of carbohydrates in its equivalent form in brown rice? Yes, it does. So if we just go with that simple rule, does this food provide energy to my body? Yes. Does it replenish energy that I've lost through exercise? If the answer is yes, then you go right ahead. Now, we can go in and talk about glycemic index and things like that, but now we start to get pretty nerdy. Now we start to cut things down. So let's review that for a second. What is a carb? A carb basically look at it in two ways. It has two functions. Function number one, it provides energy to your body. Function number two, it replenishes energy that you've lost through exercise. And if you can eat a carb that does those things, then great. Now, what are the good types of carbs that we want to eat? Those are the ones that are natural occurring foods, that are minimally processed, and that aren't man-made. And that's as simple as you can make it when it comes to carbohydrates. Now, what types of carbs do we want to avoid? Well, those types of carbs are more like the diesel gasoline of the carbohydrate world. Those are the carbs that our body cannot use. And so what are those carbs? Well, I'll make it really simple. White flour. Anything with white flour in it. So that's why you hear carbs are bad, because of the breads, because of the pastas. Yes, those foods are bad. Now, why? Why are they bad? What do they really do for us? Well, the answer is very, very minimal things. They don't really do a lot for us. White flour, they're composed of purely empty calories. Now, an empty calorie is basically a calorie that is put into your body that your body cannot extract energy from. So if your body cannot extract energy from a carbohydrate, then your body tends to store it. And when it stores it, it will store it as fat. So yes, can carbs make us fat? There is no doubt that carbs can make us fat, but it's eating the right types of carbs that won't make us fat, and it's eating the bad types of carbs that will make us fat. So not all carbs are created equal. So again, if you look at it, carbohydrates from the standpoint of that gasoline analogy that I gave you. Okay, you have unleaded gasoline, the gasoline that your car can use. It can go really far. It can travel from here, to from the south part of Texas all the way to the north part of the United States. It can travel. Gas will get you there. The good unleaded gasoline is going to get you there. But just like foods out in the world, just like unleaded gasoline, there's different levels of unleaded gasoline. You have the 87, you have the 89, and you have the 92. And obviously your car is going to run a lot better on that premium gasoline. And though that's a topic for another day of trying to figure out which foods are going to be best for you and things like that. But right now, all we want to do is we want to get from south part of Texas all the way to the northern part of the United States. And we can do that with 87 gasoline. If you're used to putting bad foods into your body, if you're used to not eating in a healthy manner, then any type of thing that's going to give you energy, that's going to allow you to go, is something that you can do. It's a step in the right direction. And as time goes on, you'll start to improve your diet. You'll start to improve your carb choices. You'll start to improve those things, and your body will also start to improve. So don't get so caught up in trying to be perfect at the very beginning. Just give your body the things that it needs in order to go from here to there. Give you the energy that it needs to accomplish your exercise program and your weight loss program. And more than anything, just give you energy in life. So those are the unleaded gasoline, is those good carbs. And then you've got your diesel gasoline, and those are going to be your foods with white flour. Those are going to be, your breads, your pastas, your desserts, some cereals. A lot of people like to eat these frozen waffles in the morning because it's easy and it's fast and it's quick. Those are the foods that your body won't get energy from. So you're going to be a lack of energy, but you're also going to end up storing those calories and storing them as fat. So again, here you go. You have, are carbs bad? Well, hopefully now you think that carbs aren't as bad as what you thought they were. Carbs are going to give you energy. People ask me, Aaron, what kind of diet do you follow? And pretty much about year round, I stay between 8 and 10% body fat. Now, when I was much younger, in my younger years, I used to stay around 6% body fat. But, now I like to enjoy my time away from the gym and not thinking so much about that. But now I maintain about 8 to 10% body fat on a year round basis. And people are like, well, you must not eat carbs. No, I would say right now, carbs are about 60% of the calories that I intake on a daily basis. 60%. Now, I also know how to manipulate my carbs and know when I should have them and when I shouldn't have them and things like that. And that's something that I could help you with. Again, you can find me online. Just go to iFitModel.com and you find all my contact info there. And you'll be able to find me and ask me questions if you need any kind of customized help, or just if you just want to ask me questions. Just go there, ask me questions, and I'll be more than happy to help you out. But I stay around 8 to 10% body fat, eating tremendous amounts of carbs. Whenever I sit down and do a diet for people, the first thing that they notice is like, wow, I'm eating carbs. Well, yes, you're eating carbs because you need carbs in order to function correctly, number one, but you also need carbs if you're trying to increase your muscle size. And that's another topic. We'll have another podcast on why you should increase your muscle size, especially for all the women out there who try to avoid weight training. But carbs are going to help you increase your muscle size. Carbs are going to help you lose fat. Carbs, yeah, it's crazy, right? We think these carbs will make us fat, but carbs can actually help us lose fat, And so you have to stick to those basic rules, and again, I make it so easy. It's so easy to understand. Don't populate your mind with 1,000 function of carbs that you're going to find on Google. Don't get so confused by the magazines that you see on the stands, by what this trainer or that trainer or this bikini model or that bikini model is saying. Listen, go back and study the facts, and the facts are extremely simple. Carbs that give you energy are those that are natural occurring carbs, those that grow from the earth that are minimally processed. The carbs that don't give you energy are the ones that are usually man-made and the ones that are composed of white flour. And that's about as simple as you can make it. So if you can look at it that way. So the next time that you're at a restaurant, the next time that you're thinking about how should I prepare my food for the week, the next time you're at the grocery store and you're trying to figure out what you should buy, think about this. Ask yourself this question. And it's really simple. And this is how you can determine whether you should buy that food or eat that food or whether you should consume that food. Ask yourself this basic question. Does this food provide energy to my body, or does it replenish energy that I will lose through exercise? And that's the only question that you need to ask yourself when you first start a healthy eating program. Does this food provide energy to my body, or does it replenish energy that I've lost through exercise? And if the answer is yes, then you go right ahead and you eat it. And that's how simple it can be. Don't complicate it. Don't ask yourself 10 questions. Don't say, this talk show host said I can't eat carbs after 7 o'clock, or I can't eat after 6 o'clock. All that is so bogus. All that is so outdated. It's a fad. It's not real. Does this food provide energy to my body, and does it replenish energy that I've lost through exercise? And if the answer is yes, you go right ahead and do it. So I hope and I feel that you understand why carbs are a good thing and how to actually choose a carb. People are going to sit back, and I know there's going to be a lot of debate, and feel free to comment on this post. Feel free to say what you want to say. You're just going to give me more content to talk about it in my upcoming podcast. And again, what I want to do is make it simple. Can I get more complicated with it? Can I go in and talk about glycemic index? Can I go in and talk about blood sugar levels and insulin levels and things like that? Absolutely. I have the ability to do that. However, for the everyday person who is just looking to start on the right foot, to start on the right type of plan, what is the best thing for them to do? The best thing for them to do is do something that's easy to start with, easy to follow. They have tremendous amounts of choices, and they're able to start off easily. And as they go on, they can gradually get into it. So this is more for the everyday person, not your big time bodybuilder, not your big time bikini competitor, or your super advanced person. This is for the person who's trying to lose fat that can't do it. Whether you're a beginner or where you're advanced, if you're trying to lose fat and you can't do it, look at your carb sources. Look at the types of things that you're doing. If you're trying to gain muscle and you can't do it, look at your carb sources. Look at when you're eating those things. So this can work for every single person all the way across the board. I can get as intense and as detailed as I need to be, but for right now, let's keep it simple. Let's not create that confusion. Let's not do any of that. Let's just look at those two basic things. So it's been a great time. I hope you understand the carbs. I really hope that you understand the function of a carb, and just more than anything, change your psychology on the way that you look at carbs. Now, I want you to stay tuned for next week. We're going to go ahead and talk about fats and proteins. And again, this is the initial volume of the iFitModel Basics of Nutrition. And so the volume 2 will be talking about fats and proteins. And then volume 3, we're going to go right into how to actually put all these things together, the carbs, the fats, the proteins, and how you can make a healthy eating plan out of it. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Aaron Zambrano. Thank you so much for listening this morning. It's been a fantastic time. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a message. Go to iFitModel.com. You can also send me an email at info@ifitmodel.com. Again, that's info@ifitmodel.com. I look forward to all your questions. I look forward to answering everything and just really helping you live an overall healthy life and get started on that healthy eating plan. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Aaron Zambrano. Thank you for listening.